Blog Talk Radio.
Batting down the hatches, the show that keeps sweeping Tuesdays, and we're just so blessed to produce this great one out of Cleveland, Ohio. A mentor, a friend, a brother, Peter Ray. He's out there live. Move the Browns out of the way, the Guardians, the Cavaliers, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is Center Stage, America's Sports History Podcast, hosted by him. Yours truly, Mark Mancini, producing at 2,500 miles to the west of him in L.A., 347-205-9631. If you happen to miss it, catch the archive version, blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports, podcast platforms, wherever you subscribe to the podcast, powered now by Mancini Media. So without further ado, more him, less of me, as I lay the red carpet down, get that podium in its place, hand off the mic, the threes, Peter. How are you? How can people get a hold of you, and hide your wife because she loves this show with him each and every 2 weeks. You bring this guy. I'm sure she's listening live too. I'll let you take it away, and I'll man the boards, my brother.
Hi, Mark. I'm doing well. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Peter J. REA, and my email address is there. And you're absolutely right. Tonight's guest played Major League Baseball from 1971 to 1981 with the Chicago Cubs, Oakland A's, LA Dodgers, and San Francisco Giants. He won 2 World Series championships in 1973 and 74 with the A's, 395 career stolen bases, 2-time American League stolen base leader in 1974 and 76, more than 1,000 hits, first Oakland A's designated hitter, won a title in 78, National League title in 78 with the Dodgers. He led the American League 3 times in total chances per game, twice in putouts, once in assists from the outfield on double plays. Welcome to the show for the 27th time, Mr. Bill North.
Peter, you silver-tongued devil.
What's that?
I like you. You're a silver-tongued devil.
Well, go ahead.
You go ahead.
You were the starting center fielder and leadoff hitter for the coolest MLB team of all time, the Oakland A's from the early 1970s.
See, there you go again.
Hey, Bill, you told me last night you told me that September 6th they're having a night with Bill North in Oakland. What's the name of the restaurant?
It's Ricky's. It's in San Leandro. And it's just going to be a night where we just sit and talk about everything the people want to talk about.
San Leandro?
Mostly be about baseball. Yeah.
Is that in the San Francisco Oakland area?
Yeah, it's right. It's a suburb of Oakland. It's
okay.
It's 15 minutes from downtown. Yeah.
San Leandro, Ricky's, and it's $100 a plate.
Yeah.
Wow, that's.
I finally hit the big time, Peter.
And you said you're going to have a panel discussion.
Yeah, we'll just like I say, it's going to be for the people, and we're going to have a lot of other players there, guys from different sports and that. And they're still in the area. But it'll be mostly Arif Khatib, who is a good friend of mine, and has written a number of books.
Dave Raymond's coming?
No, Raymond Chester is. Dave Newhouse is going to beat writer when I was
Dave Newhouse, yeah, that guy, right.
He wrote for 50 years.
Right.
In the Bay Area, and he's a friend of mine, and we go back, and he's got a book out, and Arif has a book out, and I know I should be telling the name of the book, but Dave, his last book was a book called Goodbye Oakland.
Right. I should read that.
Yeah, and Arif's book, it's I can't remember the name. I got brain lock. But and he wrote a book called excuse me. I'll let you know before
okay.
the show is over.
And what's the other? You said there's another. Go ahead.
He wrote a book called "In the Shadow of Obscurity," and it's about toiling in a reluctant society. It goes back as far as what's it? Jim the Runner, Native American.
Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe, and he's got a number of athletes. To me, it's a book that needs to be in the schools, talking about. He's got Ricky T. Ribs, and he's got Kurt Flood, and Pumpsy Green, and just a number of them. Yeah.
So, Nate, I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And the night with Bill North, September 6th, Ricky's in San Leandro. What's the and you said I believe you said there's something else you have something else coming up.
Yeah, I'm being honored. And I'm so humbled by the fact that lately some people have decided to tell me they love me, but I'm being honored by the Buffalo Soldiers Museum for a community award, and that's on Labor Day, and that's quite nice. And
where is the Buffalo Soldiers Museum?
It's in Tacoma, Washington. They're moving to Seattle, but they've got a number of them around the country. And I don't know whether you know what the Buffalo Soldiers were. They were people that had been brought, stolen from Africa, brought to America, and they lived. A lot of them were West Indies and Caribbean and that, and it's a military group. They were a military group, and they're very, very, very precious to my heart. My mom, when I was a kid, one time gave me this piece of tile that had Buffalo Soldiers on it, and she was very aware of them.
Yeah, so, and what's the award you're getting with them?
Community award.
Community service?
Yeah, and just recognition.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Being an old baseball player, and they've been somebody that's, a group that I've been interested in doing things with for years.
You know, it's funny, that was the famous Bob Marley song, Buffalo Soldiers. I was crazy about Bob Marley in college and reggae music, and I saw Bob Marley, one of his last concerts, I think 1980 in Atlanta. But anyway, in our school in the Philippines, we actually took on Buffalo Soldier as our school. We changed the lyrics, but we had for our school song. You know, so Buffalo Soldier, stolen from Africa, brought to America, fighting on arrival, fighting for survival. And so anyway,
Buffalo Soldiers. That's one of my favorite songs in the world, Peter.
Right. Wonderful song.
You give me the music, I can sing it from one end to the other.
Buffalo stolen from Africa, brought to America, fighting on arrival, fighting for survival. Driven from the mainland to the heart of the Caribbean, singing "Oh, yo." Well, I think I'll stop now.
Look at you, there's one line in there that I really like. It's yeah,
oh,
Buffalo Soldiers. Say he wanna ran, then they take a hand. Buffalo Soldiers roaming in the land. And what that means is, if they ran away and got caught, they would cut their hand off, and they went and roamed anyway, roaming through the land. And that was a thing that said, "Hey man, that ain't gonna stop me. And
right.
Anyway, yeah,
I want to talk about last 2 weeks. I was been watching 1973 World Series Game 4. You played an important role in the season. Couldn't play, but anyway. That was the second of your 3 World Series. The A's won, and that game the Mets won 6-1. Ken Holtzman against John Matlack. Actually, I think it tied up the series 2-2. Before, if you watch the video, before the game, Joe Garagiola had his Baseball World with interviewing Reggie Jackson and Ron Luciano. Nelson Briles sung the national anthem. In the first inning, Rusty Staub hit a 3-run home run that turned out to be the game-winning hit with a bad shoulder. And Dick Williams took out Ken Holtzman after 1/3 of an inning, put in Blue Moon Odom. Let's see, Jesus Alou was talking about he had a lot of motion at the plate. Odom walked John Matlack, and Kurt Gowdy said, managers love it when pitchers walk the pitcher. They really go for that. And then one
so
play.
Do players.
Huh?
So do players in that sour casting. So, yeah.
At one point, Jesus Alou took a pitch, and then he dropped the bat behind him, and he had this big leg kick into it was very entertaining. The guys were laughing about that, Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek.
I'll tell you what happened, Peter. The pitch was inside. It was close to him, and that was how he reacted. He would drop the bat to get out of the way.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at it, the pitch was inside, and that's why he dropped the bat. And but he was histrionic, but he was also a wonderful person and a good teammate. And I miss him too. He rolled away from us this summer and this year, and lost too many teammates this year.
Yeah. They talked about how Henry Aaron was the first active player to throw out a ceremonial first pitch. I think that was game 1. And so that was, he was sitting on 713 home runs, and that was all.
Yeah, like we said yesterday, that's a hell of a off season.
Talking about anticipation,
Well, you're sitting there waiting to get some at bats the next year so you get this out of the way. Just think about it. I hit 713 home runs, and now I got to sit here for 4 months and wait to hit 714 to tie the record and hit 750. And I was hitting them on the clip that every other at bat. Now I don't have any at bats, and I got the whole winter.
The whole winter. Yeah, the scoring in that game 4 of the '73 World Series, ended in the 4th, and actually I can't find the rest of the footage is cut off. You couldn't find it, and then anyway, and then the video I watched showed highlights from the whole series, and they went back to the play where Joe Rudy threw out Bud Harrelson at the plate. And it was a controversial call, and Harrelson comes back and he says, "You can't kick me out for your inadequacy." I thought that was great. Great line.
Word,
and then, huh?
Great word, inadequacy. I would have used another one. You couldn't kick me out because you're bleep.
That's right. And then another thing, interesting thing in the series, Tug McGraw pounding his leg with his glove, which according to this book I read, he was a signal to his wife he was thinking about her, and actually after he'd either gotten the last out of a game or the last out of an inning. So that was anyway.
I thought about that too, Peter, and I'm going to tell you, I watched him, do that. Playing against him and that kind of thing. But it was usually after he had a confrontation or a tense situation and he won. And that's when he would do that because he was so hyped up.
Right.
But, it's good press to be able to say you do that and get you a gate pass at home to be able to tell you, when I do that, I'm thinking of you, honey.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Nelson Bryles sang the national anthem?
Peter, I was so uninterested in that World Series other than the win.
Right.
Because I didn't get to play.
You didn't get to play, but you.
They exiled me to the stands. Yeah.
But looking back, you can
allowed to be on the bench or anything. Yeah.
But looking back, you can feel good about the whole, even though you didn't play, about the fact that you played an important role in getting the team there.
I'm not saying I feel bad about it, but everybody has their way to deal with uneven things, and mine was to because it hurt,
right,
to watch and not be able to contribute, and that there it was not one of my favorite memories. You can bet that. 74. Made up for it, and that because, hey man, you get that far, and I was hitting I hit that year 286 and 53, 54 stolen base, and led the offense as far as starting the offense and playing a pretty good center field. And then to be able, as soon as I stepped on that base in Minnesota, I knew I wasn't going to play in the World Series. Mm-hmm. And because I watched my ankle just explode right in front of me.
Right.
And a player knows when he's injured.
Right.
And that was, and I knew I wasn't, it was serious. And and all I wanted to do in life was play in the World Series.
Yeah, and then you couldn't.
But God is good. He gave me another one. So yeah.
Now I'm reading this book, rereading a book by Jason Turbow, Dynastic, Bombastic, Fantastic, Reggie Raleigh, Catfish, and Charlie Finley, Swingin' A's. I have a few things I want to bring up. The first championship you guys won before, when you were still with the Cubs, the ALCS, which at that time was a 5-game series, and that was the only playoff. You went from the regular season to the 5-game ALCS, and you guys beat Detroit in 5. And early in the series, Bert Campaneris was really getting on base, stealing and scoring, and then Larry LeGros hit his ankle. He got hurt, and the authors wrote, the lumber flew on a surprisingly accurate line toward the pitcher, helicoptering parallel to the ground. LeGros ducked as the bat spun overhead, inches above the crown of his head. And then they talked about that there was a belief that Billy Martin, the manager, had ordered him to throw at Campaneris, and this author said
they would do that if you were beating. They've done that a number of times. To me, if you're beating them with your play, they want and they would throw at my legs. My legs and my head were off limits, and there's going to be a response there. And they threw at Campaneris' feet,
right,
to try and make him hurt down there. And Campaneris, who was fiery to say the least, I said, we were playing against Cleveland one time, and they, I think it was Frank Robinson's team, and they had hit Campaneris early in the game, or there was some carryover from something, and and there was a double play ball. When he comes across the base, the guy that comes across the base can get you down, okay, by throwing the ball low, and you're going to get down to stop you from busting him up. Campaneris come across the base with this ball, and he threw it straight down in about a 15-degree angle, and hit the runner in the head with the ball.
Right.
He never even attempted to throw it to first base.
Mhm.
He would do. Hey man, he protect himself, and he would do that. Yeah. Hey man, he knew when they were trying to get him.
The Los Angeles Times writer Jim Murray said that Billy Martin didn't have a chip on his shoulder, but a whole lumber yard.
Sure. Let's not go too far into Billy Martin.
Okay.
I was not a very big Billy Martin fan. So, I could rest his soul,
But apparently after he threw the bat, Campaneris headed for the dugout. It looked like there was going to be a brawl, and he's not a big guy. And they had the Tigers had some big guys like Gates Brown and Norm Cash.
They had Willie Horton over there.
Willie Horton, yeah. So,
I seen Willie Horton make a whole team when there was some consternation. I seen Willie Horton go over and stand in front of their dugout and said, "Don't nobody move."
And then umpire Nestor Shilak ejected Campaneris and LeGros, and he said to, quote, prevent further riot, mayhem, or whatnot. and then Sal Bando said that he believed it was intentional throwing at Campaneris. And then, yeah.
It was. Yeah.
So, anyway.
But you know what, Peter?
Yeah.
That play right there got me my job.
Uh-huh.
Because Campaneris was suspended for a week, which is how, in a championship series, I'm likening it to Golden State, where they were in the championship series and they suspended Draymond Green.
Right.
And crippled Golden State. Well, when you're playing for something that important, the World Championship, you don't want to be somebody. The game should be won or lost on the field with the players. And so what baseball did, they suspended Campaneris for the next the first week of the next year, which was a good. But I was the only other leadoff type hitter they had in camp, and I had a good spring, and so that's when you talk about the first designated hitter, and that's what I got to play a week because he was out and had a pretty good week, and it moved me into center field a lot quicker after a couple guys fell on their face.
Go ahead.
And it was, Dick Williams had told me, I know this is a lot of me, but Dick Williams told me that during that time he sat me down a number of times and said, "You'll get your chance." And he communicated real well with me because it was the kind of thing that he knew and I knew and the team knew that I had earned that job in spring training. But Charlie Finley was telling him who to play, and it was early in the season, so Dick Williams listened.
Game 5 of the ALCS in '72, they brought in Vida Blue to pitch the last 4 innings in relief, and he did very well. Three hits, struck out the side in the 7th, no walks, and then there's a quote by Ken Holtzman. He says, "I don't care what Vida's record was that season. I don't care about his postseason record. For me, those 4 innings were the most important 4 innings of any we played while I was in Oakland. They turned the tide of our entire dynasty, and Vida came through." And that put the A's in the World Series in 1972.
What a great quote, and because it was. And that was that team, though. Is they had something for everything. I mean, Catfish Hunter in '74 came in and struck out Joe Ferguson out of the bull. Catfish Hunter out of the bullpen came in and struck out Joe Ferguson. You know, do what you can. Dick Williams was on. He knew what he had, and he knew how to use it.
We have comments. Jack from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Big Dodgers fan here. I know your producer, Mark Mancini, dislikes them. Tell Bill his A's got lucky in '74. We paid them back in '88. Well, yeah. See, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, he sounds like the players from the Dodgers. After we beat them, and they said nobody could play on their team from the A's, two-time world champions, and we beat them in 5 games and sent them home, and they said the best team lost. I'm sitting here right now with my '74 World Series ring. It says world champions. It doesn't say second place.
Joey from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. This show is the bomb. Keep it going, Peter, Bill, and my wife Alice. He's mentioning her. Lance from Pensacola, Florida. Long live the greatest base stealers. Bill, you are right up there.
Thank you so much. But let me go back to the other one. I hear from Groundhog Day Town that got Joey all the time, and I thank him for being a loyal listener. But, yeah, hey, I appreciate the fact. I didn't steal bases. I took them.
Do you know what your ranking is on the all-time list of base stealers?
No, but if I didn't count when I was playing, but if I knew people were asking me about it, I at least stole 4 or 5 more so I could beat 400. I mean, that's going 395. And that's why it's close to 400.
Yeah, you would have gotten over 400. Let's see, I'm looking it up right now. We can find where you are. You are, let's see, you're tied with Dave Collins, 79th all time.
Dave Collins, switch hitter. He came up about the same time as I did. Mm-hmm. And he played California Angels and Cincinnati Reds, didn't he?
Yeah, I know he played with the Reds. I think the Yankees briefly when they had went for power for a while.
Good player. Good player. Could run. Had good speed. Yeah, and switcher too. Yeah.
Now we're running low on time. Let's get one of the best players from the 1970s, Diego Segui. Any thoughts on Diego Segui?
We talked about him last time, Peter. Give me another.
Oh, Danny Frisella. You're right.
I don't know him.
Don't remember him? Okay. Yeah, you're right. Jose Cardinal.
My teammate, Junior. He was with me when I came up. And he was one of those guys, he had time, and just one of the greatest people you ever want to meet. But I saw one time, this guy was such an athlete and such a good player, but him and Clemente were playing Pittsburgh, and they were getting into a throwing contest. And somebody was running on Cardinal. He's playing right field, and he made a throw to third base to get this guy, and it was up maybe a foot. Okay, and the guy got in there. Clemente had the same play the next inning, and he threw it, but it was a foot down, and tagged him on the bottom of the foot, but he had that great of an arm. And Just Junior, he used to take care of my crazy butt too. So
a teammate on the Cubs.
Yeah,
okay.
Just a lovely person, just a nice man. Cuban, he was Campaneris' cousin.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Very good.
Yeah.
The time has flown by. Our guest has been Mr. Bill North, the leadoff hitter. and center fielder for the coolest MLB team of all time, the Oakland A's from the early 1970s. He's got a night with Bill North coming up September 6th at Ricky's in San Leandro. That's going to be great. Bill, do you have any final words tonight for our audience?
I just thank you guys for being listeners and giving us your time. And I'm honored that you want to even hear me. But thank you, Peter.
And I forgot to add the favorite podcast guest of my dear wife, Alice, because of your good heart and good sense of humor.
Thank you. I like to laugh, don't you?
Yeah, we're two funny guys. Yeah, life's too short to not laugh, to enjoy life.
Yeah,
so thanks again so much, Bill, for coming on. Huh?
Yeah. If we're going to be here, we might as well have a good time.
That's right. I agree with you completely. Well, let's see. Next week we're going to have Matthew DiBiase. We're going to talk NFL history. Blanton Collier, the coach of the Cleveland Browns in the 60s, and Sean Payton, the New Orleans Saints coach, 2006.
Denver Broncos.
Right. And in 2 weeks we'll have Bill North again, and we can continue our discussion, talk about Game 5 of the '73 World Series. And I don't know. I guess that September 6th event won't have happened yet, but we're looking forward to that. And I'm very happy that they're doing that. That'll be great.
Yeah. Send money.
Dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, everybody. Thanks again so much, Mr. Bill North.
Amen, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.